right, everybody. Here I've got Russell right next to me. We are going to be talking about the steels we use and why we use them. First off, we're going to talk about the two main differences in steels, which will be high carbon and stainless. So Russell, what's the main differences between high carbon and stainless steels?
So high carbon steels are steels that have at least 0.8% carbon in them, which will make them a high carbon steel in relation to the other things in them. Stainless steels will have at least 14% chromium, which is what makes them stainless.
Okay, so chromium is what makes everything stainless, or is what allows a steel to then become stainless.
Yes.
What exactly is chromium?
So chromium is an element that really aids in corrosion resistance in steels and steel alloys.
So basically, if I've got enough chromium to make a stainless, that will then make a stainless, and the added benefits of stainless are the corrosion resistance, keeping rust off the blade. Yeah. What other benefits can someone see from a stainless versus a high carbon?
Because of all the chromium in it, they're functionally harder, so they do have a longer edge retention for fully sharp blades.
So that honestly sounds like, especially for consumers, right? Stainless is the option to go.
For most at-home chefs, yes, they choose to go the stainless route. Even nowadays, a lot more professional chefs are going towards the stainless because of the ease of use. They don't have to keep them clean and dry, and the edges just last exceptionally longer.
So with high carbon, and I've kind of got a crush on high carbon myself, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. Why would someone want a high carbon blade if stainless seems to be the way to go?
High carbon gets so much sharper. Even to this day, even with modern stainless, it does get sharper. And if you're somewhere where you're in the field and you need to sharpen it quickly, you're not going to sharpen modern stainless in the field. You're done. Like your knife is dull, you hit a rock, you hit a bone, you're done. With high carbon, you can take basically any stone, get that knife back up to a working edge, and be able to take care of whatever you need to. If that's a chef in the kitchen, if that's a hunter in the field, whatever that is, if you get a modern stainless steel blade fully dull, you're not getting it back quickly to working sharp.
Right on. And so I guess the negative drawbacks on a high carbon would be that it doesn't have corrosion resistance, right?
It doesn't have corrosion resistance, and functionally they're not as hard, so the edge does deteriorate faster.
Okay.
Now, having said that, sorry not to butt you off, but one of the issues with modern stainless is it doesn't give you an indication of how sharp they are. A lot of the newer steels they'll be super sharp, and then all of a sudden they're dull. With high carbon, you get an indication of where you are in your sharpness curve. So you say, hey, I'm about to go on a trip, I need to touch this up a little bit. You can do that. With stainless, you just never know.
Gone. So there's a better grade of deterioration that you can watch and manage.
A more linear grade, yeah.
And you can watch that kind of happen.
Yes.
Stainless, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the main differences between high carbon and stainless. We here have generally about 4, sometimes 5 steels that we use here. I'm going to go ahead and say them, and Russell will get into them a little bit more. The main steels we use, which will be our high carbon 52100 and D2, which is one of my personal favorites. We've also got a CPM 154. That's our starting stainless option. We also have a laminate, a 52100 with 410. We'll get into that one as a little bit of specialty. And then a real high-end specialty steel that pretty much only Russell works in, because he's the only one with the patience for it, is our Japanese white #1. Now I'll go ahead and throw it to Russell. He's going to start off with our 52100.
So 52100 is our base steel. It is our full high carbon option. So 52100 is excellent because it does have a little chromium in it to help with some of that stain resistance, but over time you will get a patina. So if you get a shiny knife, it's not going to stay shiny. You cut a raw piece of meat, you cut any food that has any type of acidity in it, and it will patina that blade, which some people love because you get to watch that blade age over time. Other people don't like it because it can look a little dirty. As opposed to a stainless steel, which we'll talk about more in just a second. So 52100 takes an excellent, really toothy edge, and like we were talking about with high carbons, you can sharpen it on the fly. It's very easy to maintain, but you will need to keep it clean and dry. I once left some cheese on one of my high carbon knives just overnight. Yeah, it rusted. It'll happen. Keep them clean, keep them dry. No steels go in the dishwasher. No quality of knives go in the dishwasher. I know you're going to say this, but I had to throw it in there.
Please.
No dishwashers. Hand dry, hand wash. Yeah. So that's 52100. Any further questions on 52100 or any of these other steels, feel free to throw them in the comments. We'll talk about them on social media as well.
And just to kind of pause right in there, a lot of times we'll get someone who actually buys one of our knives or buys a knife somewhere else, and they buy a high carbon blade and don't know it right off the bat. It's a shiny blade, it looks great, it looks fine. They throw it in the dishwasher one time, they leave it in the sink, the husband or wife, depending on who does the cooking, does something wrong, and all of a sudden someone comes to us and they freak out thinking that their knife is just completely ruined and done because there's rust spots, corrosion. If that happens, if you guys have a high carbon knife, if you're in the Houston area or any area where you can send it to us, we'll clean it up, we'll explain to you different ways to maintain and care for that blade, and also give it back to you in a brand new shiny fashion. That way you'll know now how to take care of that high carbon. But enough from that, I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys so you know that if that happens, bring it to us, we'll take care of it. On to D2.
Okay, D2 is a relatively new addition in our steel lineup. Got a great reputation in the steel industry. It's what's called a tool steel, which we didn't go over that. We went over high carbon and stainless. So tool steel is this kind of funky segment in between high carbon and stainless. Technically, it's a high carbon steel, but it's almost a stainless steel because 14% is really the cutoff. D2 has 12. So it's really close in the carbon content to becoming a stainless. So that's why I call it like a near stainless high carbon. It's really cool. Daniel loves working with it, so I'm going to let him talk about it a little bit more.
Yes. You pretty much get the toothiness and sharpness of a high carbon. My very first knife, which was given to me at 18, was a D2 steel knife, and I still have it till this day. Great steel to work with. And just like Russell said, it's pretty much almost stainless, so you're getting the benefit of corrosion resistance. Not as great as a stainless, but near to it. And you're getting the sharpness of a high carbon. For me, one of the added benefits of D2 is that when I'm sharpening it, it's very easy to indicate how sharp it's getting because it gets so toothy, because it sharpens up really fast. So that's one of the main reasons why I love D2 and high carbon just in general, because I can tell when that knife is sharp.
Yeah. And all of our leather tools, in most woodworking tools you'll see, will be a tool steel, hence the words tool steel. So every tool we make for our leather work is a D2 steel. It takes a really acute edge, it'll take a buffed edge and just shave leather like no business. Love it. And I know you didn't talk about it, but the finish it gets, when you make it shiny, it's got this really cool orange peel look where you're literally, it feels like you can see the micro granular structure of the steel. It's just, there's nothing else like it. So yeah, that's D2.
Yeah. Great steel, guys. High carbon, definitely one of my favorites. Let's go ahead and move on to our stainless option, CPM 154. You worked with this a lot.
A lot, yes. I moved from 440C to CPM 154 5-6 years ago, and now the vast majority of our knives are made out of this steel. It's got an amazing reputation in the industry as one of the higher end, not a premium, but a higher end stainless. It's amazing. The edge holding is amazing. The edge it takes it's just under 52. I can't stress enough how similar these two steels will take edges. It gets toothy and it will take that and it will hold it. You can beat it up, again in its maintenance for what that knife was designed for, and you just abuse it, whether that's in the kitchen or on a hunting trip in the field, camping. It's a great steel. It gets super shiny, but at the same point it takes some amazing other finishes that we do. I believe we're going to do a different video about finishes we do on steels later on, so I won't get too much into that. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing steel. Love working in it, and it is our #1 used steel at this point in time.
So you made a comment a second ago of going from 440C to CPM 154, and you say that because and from what you've told me, you've had problems working with 440C. But I also see that in production knife companies, Benchmade, some of their lower end steels or steels that they've gone away from was 440C.
Yes.
I feel like at one point 440 was a decent or good steel to work in, but I have seen a lot of the CPM or CM 154s.
Yes.
So what made you change from 440C
Yeah.
into 154? I'm pretty sure a lot of other guys did the same thing.
Yeah, so excellent question. So 440C doesn't have a good reputation in the industry.
Okay.
And that's largely because of 440A and B.
All right.
They are very specific steels that do, like 440A is what they make scalpels out of. They call it surgical steel. It'll take a great edge, you cut once, it's done.
And you throw it away.
Done.
Because in scalpels, you take a scalpel, and if you guys have ever been in an operating room, I hope you haven't, use a scalpel once, and it's gone. It's done. They toss it in the toxic bin, and it's over with. So that's what 440C is mainly used for.
Well, 440A is used for, yes.
440A.
And so because of 440A and B and their very limited use, you make a knife out of that should be a multiple use thing,
Okay.
and it's going to get a bad reputation. So if it's 440C, it will be labeled on there 440C. If you see a knife that says just 440, it's probably A or B because they are the cheaper options and they just won't hold up as well. So yeah, you're seeing a large shift to even like 154 CM, which is the non-powdered version of CPM 154. Great steel. It's not re-smelted, and we'll go into that. There's a whole other conversation on stainless.
Right.
A long conversation. And so you're seeing this because for literally a few dollars more in the manufacturing process, you can go from a 440C to a 154 CM, and you get all the added benefits. It doesn't quite have the reputation as CPM 154, but it still has a really good reputation.
So in working with the two, what made you say, all right, I've got to go with CPM 154 over 440C?
After heat treat, 440C is horrible to work with.
Okay.
It is slippery, and I know you hear me say the word slippery. What's slippery steel look like? Literally, as you're grinding on one of these belt grinders, and you're grinding on, it literally feels like it's just slipping around. You can't tell when you're grinding, how it's grinding. It's like grinding on a glass. It's just slipping all over the place. CPM 154, after heat treat, you can bite in, you can feel it bite in and grind, and it feels and actively, you're grinding more material off. So your clearances are completely different between the two steels.
Right on, right on. All right, well, that's a great wrap up on CPM 154. Let's go ahead and go to our laminate. I might be butchering this. Russell will definitely take over from here. 52100 410 laminate.
Yes. So what a laminate is you think of a taco, right? You've got a core of 5200, the same 5200 we use regularly, and it's sandwiched or tacoed around is 410 stainless steel, which is a non-hardenable steel, a stainless steel alloy.
Okay.
But it gets super shiny.
Okay.
And so what you get is you get some of the benefits of stainless steel. You don't have to keep the whole thing clean and dry. The stainless steel part of it won't patina. It'll stay shiny, but you get the edge bit of the knife will be high carbon as well as all the way up the core. So that bit will patina and you'll get that really toothy 52100 edge that it'll come with. And great steel, great combination of the types of steels, and you'll see a lot of laminates out there. They'll do them with 52-100. They even make stainless on stainless laminates now for different things. All of them are very specific uses, but it's one of those really great things that we use currently only for stock knives because it's still a very limited availability as far as purchasing it. We hope to in the future be able to do them for customs as well. That'll really depend on where the market goes.
So kind of an easier breakdown based off of what you told me is I basically have the sharpness right in the middle, my meat of my taco per se, right? So that'll mainly be my edge, and then I get the protection of a stainless.
Yes.
So that to me sounds like a great end all be all to wanting a knife right there.
Especially if you love high carbon, yeah.
I get the stainless protection and I get the high carbon sharpness.
Yeah.
But the issue, it's
Cost.
not cost and it's not made as much.
Yeah.
So getting a hold of it is a little bit of an issue when we do. Definitely a high sought out thing for a lot of chefs, people who really know their knives, and just a great performing, and even the look of it after patinas, the high carbon patina, you can kind of see it gives itself a great character between that stainless.
Yeah.
So great. Now we're going to go over this. Definitely going to be another steel that Russell takes over. I am not. I've looked at it. I've looked at the steel. That's about it. I've never touched it, worked on it. I probably hand sanded the handle on it. But Japanese white number 1.
Japanese white number 1. So this is a steel I buy from my teacher and mentor, Murray Carter. He's the only one in the country that imports it. I can get it from him in very limited quantities. And this steel is also mainly a laminate, so you have the Hitachi white number 1 core with the 410 laminate, just like the other laminate. So you get the high carbon on the middle, the stainless on the outside, and Hitachi white number 1 is a premium high carbon steel. It is one of the most refined steels that the Japanese people produce. It's an amazing steel. It takes a toothy edge. And the beautiful thing about it is it'll hold that, but it also resharpens very quickly. And you get the super shiny of the laminate. You get the little line between where the laminate ends, the high carbon continues out to the edge, and that last little bit will patina, very similar to 52100, but it is a very premium Japanese steel.
So they're not making that here.
No, that comes all the way from Japan.
And you can only get it through one person.
One person in this country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's definitely one of those high-end steels we don't get in very often, guys. And I apologize. I know a lot of people are probably seeking out customs for that. And if we got a good amount of it, that'd be great. When we get it, we put out pieces, especially for Russell, very near and dear because that came from your teacher.
Yeah.
You put out some really great pieces to it, which should be coming out soon. We actually have some Japanese white that we're going to be working in soon for some stock knives. But when you get a hold of it, it's just what you got, and
that's it.
You put it out. And,
And it is the only steel we currently do forging only on. So it is fully forged, and then we grind it as little as possible to maintain that laminate. And it's the only steel we forge.
Okay, so we've got 52100, which is a high carbon, D2, which is a high carbon stainless kind of hybrid, our 52100 410 laminate, CPM 154, which is our stainless, and then Japanese white number 1. We kind of skipped over it a little bit earlier on, didn't really get to it, but with the steels that we use, what are some of the main uses for some of these steels? You know, which one would be better for hunting, which ones would be better for kitchen knives, etc.
So 52100 we use for everything.
Okay.
It can be used for a hunting knife, a tactical knife, and kitchen knives. So that's one of our universal steels that we could use it for anything within that. Same thing for CPM 154. The things that will change with these two steels depending on use or task is how fat the edges are, like right at the edge. For a kitchen knife, you want it super thin, you want a really acute angle. For hunting knives, you're going to want a little bit fatter angle on it, just more stability, won't chip out as much.
Right.
A steel like D2, I won't use that for 90% of kitchen knives.
Okay.
Like, besides a Deba or a cleaver, it's not a suitable steel for kitchen knives. Again, in our opinion, D2, something like, we just made an axe recently for a customer. We made that out of D2. It's great for a Deba or a big chopper. It's got some great personalities where it doesn't chip out as much even at thinner angles as opposed to some of the other steels we use. So anything that you're really going to be chopping with, it's a great option. Otherwise, you're not going to see it in most kitchen knives.
Awesome.
And then the Hitachi white number 1, you can do almost anything with it. Honestly, like, I wouldn't want to make an axe out of it because that's wasting a lot of steel for a simple axe head.
Right.
But basically anything else, machetes, bushcraft tools, kitchen knives, whatever you want to make out of it, it'll work.
If I'm not mistaken, you've done a hunting knife in white. I think I remember seeing it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I still carry it to this day when I go hunting.
Oh, it's your knife, that's right.
Yeah.
It's your knife. Okay.
Yeah.
So you carry your own Japanese white number 1. Wow. Wow. So very versatile.
Very versatile.
Just hard to get a hold of, right?
Yeah. And expensive.
Well, guys, that was our wrap on steels, especially the steels that we use.